All right, I'd like to call to order the Orange Township Board of Zoning Appeals for December 14th, 2023, 6 p.m. Orange Township Town Hall. Sir, you call roll call.
Mr. Shipley?
Here.
Mr. Treves? Here. Ms. Ross?
Here.
Ms. Shindar?
Yeah.
Ms. Neff?
And Ms. Neff is on her way. She's in traffic. We'll go ahead and get started with the beginning of our meeting. Anyone who intends to testify, please raise your right hand and be sworn. If I testify, I mean, if you're going to step up, if you intend to step up here to the microphone anytime this evening, please. Please raise your right hand and be sworn. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony that you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please state, I do.
I do.
And when it's your turn to offer testimony, please state your full name, address, and affirm that you have been sworn in. Once you step up here to the microphone, please. Thank you. Applications VA 23 and 24 is continued from our November 16th meeting, and VA 23, 28 have been withdrawn by the applicant.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. This is not an action item. This is more just informational so that everybody's on the same page. They have withdrawn both of their applications last month, as well as the one that was going to be this month.
Okay.
Yep.
And a little bit of old business here that we can get started on. The variance for conditional use application VA CU 2323 that was continued also from our November 16th meeting. The applicant has requested to continue that to the January 18th meeting.
That's correct. Just to confirm that the applicants are seeking continuation to January's meeting, which will be on January 18th at 6 p.m. They indicate in general, based on holiday schedules, that they were not able to go through with some of the revisions that they intended to do yet. So that is what they intend to bring to the board in January. So they're asking for continuation. We will need to make a motion to continue the application to January.
Okay. And there's no public comment with regards to that particular continuation to next month. All right. So with that, I would make a motion to continue case number VACU 2323 for property located at 6459 Artesian Run, Lewis Center, Ohio, to the January 18th, 2024 Board of Zoning Appeals meeting at 6 p.m.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Shipley, seconded by Mr. Treves. Those voting? Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mr. Treves?
Yes.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Shindar?
Yes.
Ms. Neff? Motion passes.
So are we ready to move into our new business?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So, sir, if you'd like to begin. The first item on our new business will be a variance application VA 2326.
All right. Well, I will be reading the staff report just to introduce the case. VA 2326. The applicant is Polaris Pools, LLC. I believe we have owner Craig Shearer here to present the case. The owner of the property, Craig Sander. It's located at 2679 McCumber Loop, Lewis Center. Zoning is single-family planned residential district, and request is seeking an area variance from rezoning case on 19680 Meadows at Lewis Center to allow for a pool to encroach into the 35-foot rear yard setback. So as far as the surrounding area, the north side, that is a single-family plan residential. South side is also single-family plan residential. East and west are the same as well. Land use on the east side is Meadows at Lewis Center HOA open space, and to the west side is McCumber Loop single-family residences. You can see the zoomed-in aerial here. And this aerial gives you a general idea of the setbacks in the rear, to the rear of the home, where there currently exists just a paver patio. The proposed pool at this location will encroach 14 feet 0 inches into the 35-foot rear yard setback. This is roughly a 40% variance request from rezoning case 19680 Meadows at Lewis Center. Moving on to Exhibit 1. You can see the proposed diagram, the proposed plan, and it shows some outlines of where that new 16 by 32 foot pool is going to be located. It does also have proposed a fence to enclose the pool. The measurements show the pool would be 21 feet from the rear property line, and again, encroaching 14 feet in the required 35-foot rear yard setback. The pool will meet the side setback requirement, which is 12.5 feet. And there's a little bit closer zoomed in view with the measurements in red. The measurements show that the pool, you can see, will be 21 feet from the rear property line, and again, encroaching the 14 feet into the 35-foot required rear setback. And moving on to the site photos, this, with the location of the larger cone, that is indicative of the extent of where the pool will be. And then the smaller cone, which you can see in the first pictures to the left, that is indicative of the rear property line. And then another perspective, and then a third perspective, and a fourth. Okay. I think that's what we have for the staff report. And we have the criteria for area variance included on that following page. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Sander, are you here? Would you like to? Okay. Please, and once again, name, address, and please affirm that you've been sworn in.
My name's Craig Shear with Polaris Pools LLC. My address is 3362 Marcliff Drive, Lewis Center, Ohio, 43035.
Have been sworn in.
Yes, I've been sworn in. No.
Anything to add on the?
No, Eric seemed to cover it pretty well. Really, it's the only place on the property that we can actually put the pool that it, fits. We can't come in any further, or we're going to be into their driveway. At the end of the day, it's really the only spot that, was viable for installing a pool. There's nothing behind. We've actually got this approved last summer for the same thing over on Clarksdale Drive. Same scenario with the retention pond and stuff in the rear yard.
Have the auto cover,
Yes, there'll be an auto cover installed in the pool, yes, as well as being fenced in.
What's the drainage look like back there?
I believe you can see it on the map here.
It's a little bit
amount on it.
Yeah.
If you'd like to see this, I actually drew the pool on the
I think I have it.
that has the pool on it too, just give you a visual representation.
Yes, and yes, sir, we have that.
Okay.
I mainly asked that question to have it on record.
Gotcha.
But I think that's the 15 feet?
I believe that should be 10 feet. I'm looking here.
Good.
It looks closer to 50.
There, yep, 15, I'm sorry.
15 feet?
Yep.
It's inside the easement build line,
Okay.
so for the property.
Right. So nothing from the pool extends into the drainage easement?
No. Yeah, so the only thing currently not meeting is that 35-foot rear setback.
Right.
HOA up.
Yes.
The concern, of course, is it's It's a 40% variance, fairly substantial.
Agreed.
So the scrutiny, the questions, the concerns from, that's where the largest concern comes from.
So, like I said, we were in the same situation over at 8746 Clarksdale last summer, same thing. But due to the fact there's no neighbors, it's a retention pond, there's nothing ever going to be built there. But I mean, there's 500 feet plus to a walking path. So, I mean, there's nothing that it's encroaching on.
One of these are,
Absolutely.
if you had 30 of them,
I understand.
it makes sense.
No, I understand. I know each one is an individual case by case.
Proceed with the concern how the pool would affect each in the area. The grading would be required, and I was wondering if you could address that for us.
Yeah, there should be no drainage issues. I mean, everything slopes away from the pool. It's not very far out of the ground. I mean, no current drainage situation is going to be altered from its current state. Yes, sir.
Question about-
Yes,
What is the
that's a current like swing set. So,
I just,
yeah, it was a, so.
driveway,
We can't get much, I mean, we'd be into the driveway if we actually tried to meet the entire 35 foot. I mean, we,
so, but if you pick, pull up and split it around the corner of the house, I'm not trying to redesign your,
no, I understand.
I'm trying to understand what you went through in order to place it at this point. You said this was the best.
A little bit of it too is also privacy for the homeowner and any said neighbors. We have landscaping going around it as well. I mean, the further, obviously, we keep it back in the rear of their property, that's, it's out of everybody else's line of sight. So the further we move it towards the driveway, we make it more public closer to the street too. So that was the intent by where we put it. Yeah. We played with multiple different options that really just came down to it made the most sense for the property.
Any more questions from Mr. Shear? I think it's a public comment. Any more? Anything else you want to add right now, sir?
I don't think so.
Okay. Any public comment? Anybody out here wants to speak on? If not at all.
I can go through, if the board would like, both comments from the same neighbor
Please.
that was received. So neighbor Steve Hume, 2762 Cannon Circle, states, "I am unsure if I will be able to attend. I would generally not be in favor of anyone encroaching in the grassy drainage retention area any more than they are normally entitled to. This area provides privacy and separation for the two developments. In addition, I have concerns about how construction of a pool will affect water drainage in the area. My property and adjoining properties have significant flooding all spring and into the summer. A pool will require grading change, routing even more water away from the pool and into this area. And then there was the initial comment. Let's see. It states that his opinions believes that that this will reduce the privacy and possibly contribute to more water in the area. And anyone valuing their privacy would naturally like others to be as far away as possible. The issue is to propose they can construct closer to my lot and my neighbor's lots than would normally be allowed. I'm not trying to be belligerent, but I don't see how anybody can desire that, to put the pool any closer than what they are allowed to, basically. So those are the two comments, again, from the same individual.
Okay. And I think we've covered the, I understand the drainage concern, but we're not,
Right. There won't be any drainage issues. I mean,
we're not, there's no encroachment into the actual drainage
no.
piece of it.
And it's fully landscaped around it to that, I don't know which neighbor it was, there's only two, and it's fully, can't see the neighbor from one side on the patio. We've got, which I think you probably have that, we have a pretty extensive landscape with trees. You're not gonna be able to see, you literally won't be able to see the pool from the neighbor side or the street.
And for the pool itself, it looked like we're, so an auto cover.
Correct.
And a pool compliant aluminum fence around it.
Correct, yeah, 60-inch black aluminum fence around the pool.
Yeah, and it states in the package, the code, the pool code is 60 inches, as you mentioned, for Orange Township.
Yes,
No blocking gates, all that stuff.
correct.
Any other questions, though? No public comments. Last opportunity. Want to make a motion?
On these factors, I move to approve case VA 2326 for property located at 2679 Humbird Loop, Lewis Center, Ohio, seeking an area variance from rezoning case 19680 Meadows at Lewis Center to allow a pool to encroach 14 feet into the 35 rear yard setback in an area zoned single-family residential.
I second.
Motion to approve made by Mr. Treves, seconded by Ms. Sundar. Those voting, Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mr. Treves?
Yes.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp? Ms. Sundar?
Yes.
Motion carries, variance is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Guys have a good evening.
Traffic. Oh, was there?
I was like so close. I was like 1 minute away and then I had to go home. It just doesn't go through the room. It was that traffic.
Are you ready, sir?
Yes.
All right, so our next order of business is a conditional use application, CU 2327. Gasky, if you could get us started?
Yep. All right. Thank you, Mr. Shipley. As you stated, the next case is conditional use case CU 2327. This is conditional use request by the applicant owner Eric Risley. The site is located at 3006 Abbey Knoll Drive, Lewis Center. The zoning for this location is single-family planned residential district. So the applicant is seeking a conditional use from section 10.04A of the Orange Township zoning resolution to allow for the operation of a home occupation. The home occupation is an in-home daycare that is currently in operation. A township resident notified zoning staff of the daycare operation occurring at the property. Upon inspection on 11/2/2023, an operation appearing to be a daycare was observed at the property. Zoning violation 202-30018 was opened on 11/2/2023 for a home occupation without a conditional use. After the property owner received the violation, they applied for the conditional use. Subject site is located at 3006 Abbey Knoll Drive and zone single-family planned residential district. For the surrounding area, on the north side, the zoning district is single-family planned residential, and land use is Abbey Knoll Drive and single-family residences. The same zoning district on the south, actually southeast and west, and also same land uses on the southeast and west, as those are single-family residences. The next page has the aerial photo of more of a context view, showing the property within the neighborhood, then the zoomed-in view. And I do want to bring to the board's attention, there was technical agency review that had occurred for this property in approximately this past summer. That was an inspection done for the daycare. It did differ in terms of what we see with the proposal today, in that, as you can see from Exhibit 1, there were no basement no usage of the basement, nothing daycare related in the basement during the summer inspection, whereas the proposal today shows the entirety of the operation is occurring in the basement. So I do want to bring that to your attention. And Fire Inspector Dave Smith does recommend a reinspection due to past conversations, and staff has provided an optional condition in the motions for a new fire inspection. So we do have staff review. We don't have as many conditional use cases, so I'm just going to go right through it. Conditional use from section 10.04 of the Orange Township zoning resolution states home occupations conducted by the resident of a permitted dwelling subject to the following restrictions. The home occupation shall be carried on solely within the confines of the residential structures and architecturally compatible accessory buildings, which are customarily associated with the residential use and character of the neighborhood. This home occupation is expected to take place within the confines of the home. Only one sign not larger than 6 square feet by 4 feet in height above grade of the surrounding yard may be erected advertising home occupation. The applicant, they reported no need for signage. Number 3, the home occupation shall not occupy more than 20% of the total floor area of the dwelling unit or 50% of the combined floor space in any garage or accessory building. The applicant has reported a square footage of 956 square feet to be utilized for the home occupation, with a dwelling space square footage of 4,783 square feet, including the basement. This represents a roughly 20% occupation of the dwelling unit, which meets this standard. Number 4, no more than one non-resident employee shall work on said premises. The applicant reported that no non-resident employees work on the premises. Number 5, services may be rendered on the premises or elsewhere. All services would take place on this location, which complies with the above standard. Number 6, all parking demands created by the conduct of the home occupation shall be met off the street and other than in the front yard. Off-street parking may be permitted in a side or rear yard, but shall not be located any closer to the street than the required setback line. The required number of off-street parking spaces shall equal the spaces required for the residential use plus those required for the commercial use, which constitutes the home occupation. If no parking requirement is given for a particular home occupation, the parking requirements for the most similar commercial use shall be used in order to calculate the required number of spaces. So under section 21.01E of the Orange Township zoning resolution, a daycare facility requires 1 parking space for each employee on the largest shift, plus 1 space per 5 children. So the applicant has reported that the property has 6 off-street parking spaces. Assuming 2 employees and less than 20 children, the home occupation would meet the standard. And then number 7, no equipment, process, or storage associated with the home occupation shall create odors, noise, vibration, glare, electrical interference, or nuisance detectable or normal sense off the lot. All activities, materials, equipment associated with the business shall be totally maintained within a building. In the case of electrical interference, no equipment, process shall create visual or audible interference in any radio, television receivers, audio appliances used off the premises or cause fluctuation in line voltage off premises. No equipment, process, or storage associated with a home occupation shall create a fire or explosion hazard or involve storage of hazardous materials in any concentration than that would normally be found in a dwelling containing no home occupation. And the applicant notes in their application that the proposed use will not involve activities, processes, materials, equipment, or condition of operation that will be detrimental. Waste materials, solid or liquid, shall not be created on the premises at a level greater than normal to residential use unless provisions for disposition of said waste are acceptable to the Delaware County Department of Health and do not create a burden on adjoining property. In their application, the applicant responds stating that the proposed use will be served adequately by essential public facilities and services. And finally, number 9, no activity shall be conducted or permitted which creates a nuisance to neighboring properties. The applicant notes in their application that the proposed use will not be hazardous or disturbing to existing or future neighboring uses. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And Mr. Risley, is it?
Yes, sir.
You like to speak, sir? So were you here for our initial swearing in?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That was just off to the side. Eric Risley, 3006 Abbey Knoll Drive, and I was sworn in, sir.
Anything to add to that?
Sure. We, just to clarify a couple of the points that was said earlier in regards to the fire inspection and why there is a slight variance in that is prior to in the summer versus now is we were not technically using the lower half of the basement because of egress. But an egress window is has been installed, which allows for that square footage to be used as far as the fire department was concerned. They approved everything as is with the conditions of the home, egresses and everything like that. So the discussion was had to have it re-inspected once, everything was settled in. The business is in use. I was not aware that a conditional use application was needed for this particular case. So that is on my onus for not having the application in prior to the notification of the violation. This is basically just a standard in-home daycare where you come drop your kids off, go. There's no large signage out front. There is no, this is not going to be a large facility, and I know that according to the requirements in the zoning specifications that you could have up to 20 kids and this and that, but we're not going to be at that scale. We do have part-timers that do come and go, but we have managed to do our pickup and drop-offs to where it doesn't have any impact on traffic, and try to make it as smooth as possible. One of the main factors that would be how does it affect the two neighbors to our sides? At one point, we were just kind of letting the kids go out and have fun and go crazy. Obviously, that was very loud and annoying. And I've addressed it with both with the neighbor, and obviously they will come up and share their piece as well. But we've changed the way we operate to have just a couple kids out at a time. We also shuttle off to a park, utilize the orange parks and have fun that way to keep the noise down. So that is something that was brought to our attention, addressed, and we did correct. And then other than that, we've actually been inspected multiple times by the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services, and had no violations or issues. And I'm open to any questions. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
So an average number of children you have in the daycare now?
On average is 10 kids. That will fluctuate to lower but usually it never goes above that because we have part-timers that will come and go. And then obviously school.
I think Eric did a great job of going through the requirements there, so there's no outside employees, 20% of the square footage of the home. Parking requirements are met.
Yes, the biggest issue that we would have is obviously would be, you know, noise and things with neighbors, which I hope we've addressed. Obviously, there will be still issues. And then any, concerns of how will this affect the neighborhood and, oh my gosh, a business is coming into the area, things like that. This is in-home daycare. We're not putting a big sign out front and having traffic all day. It's just simply in the morning and the evening. This, we hope this has a positive impact on the neighborhood versus a negative impact. And this is obviously not a long-term permanent goal. We do intend to eventually, once we have enough experience and track record on this, we would ideally like to move the property, move it out to a full-service daycare center. And we're in the process of that actually currently. But, we do need to address the use now, and that's why we're here.
What is times for the operation?
Typically, we run like the earliest usually is 7:30, and then we have nobody past 5 p.m. No overnights, no weekends.
So you said about the noise, like it's
Yes, ma'am.
outside. So right, like when the noise is something like you cannot control and they cannot reach the township. It's very hard for the residents to reach the township.
Absolutely.
On the daily routine. So the residents should have the right to enjoy
Yes, exactly. Everybody should have a right to enjoy the property, feel comfortable in their backyard and things like that. And to 100% honest, at one point we were just kind of like, hey, go out and play, go nuts. And it was, loud and sounded like a elementary school. But we have addressed that, and that is our operation now to where it's, more than a couple kids. Not, 5, 6, 10 kids out screaming. So because we do want to be cognizant of and be a good neighbor. So that's where does that kind of answer your question, ma'am?
Yeah, I mean, like, I hear you. You were saying it happened once, and then you are saying that it won't happen again.
Yes,
how do you ensure that? I'm even speaking because it's hard for them to reach every time to the.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so how do you ensure?
We have our policy. We have, the way we operate and run. We don't want to have more than a couple kids outside at one time to help control that noise aspect. And then we have the ability to just, go to a park. To where we're not, bothering the neighbors. Now, how do I ensure that? I mean, obviously, I can give you my word. That's our policy, and I want to be a good neighbor. So I would hope that when I say I don't want to piss off my neighbor, I don't want to piss off my neighbor, and that does hopefully carry some weight. But obviously, I mean, aside from what we plan to do, I mean, I'm not sure how else you would kind of guarantee that. Yes, ma'am. Sir.
Adults.
Me and my wife. And then every once in a while, my mother will stop by. But just, it's me and my wife.
Eric, wasn't there something that it's within the facts of the property?
Yes.
So if you like how
No, the operation needs to confine within the property. I'm assuming that the section 10.01A is referring to, I cannot have the business in my house and then I have a section of it outside in my yard somewhere and then somewhere else. We're not operating.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a difference when you're talking about the parking requirements. You can look at number 6 as those are broken out to be separate from the operation aspects of the daycare. But that's correct. The confines, I'm trying to see which number we're referring to. Within the confines is one of the aspects of the conditional use requirements.
and in your analysis, you consider.
Well, we've basically taken into account what we've gotten from the applicant and their materials, and in addition to through the initial inspection, we haven't made notes of seeing the actual operation components occurring on the outside in the yard space. So between those two things.
Guys get to the park.
My car,
So
or my SUV. No, they would be, it would be no like walking through the neighborhoods or anything like that. Everything, we would have, everything sat in the garage. We leave, we come back.
Harry, do you mind addressing the?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I know, it's a great name.
Sorry. Address the written comments that we received, and again, I think there's probably some public comment here, but the written comments that we received, please.
Certainly, yeah. So if my count is correct, we've received 4 comments. 2 of them, I believe, we'll get to that if that's the same individual. So comment number 1, from Jennifer Settles, my spouse and I respect the rights of others to engage in a business venture to support themselves. However, we feel that a residential setting is not the appropriate place for such venture. We have lived here 17 years as a residential area, not a business district, which elicits extra vehicular traffic and the related issues associated with a business. We cannot expect our property value to remain consistent with the area if prospective buyers have to consider moving up against a daycare facility. This in turn is a financial downfall for us and others that, if approved, would negatively impact our investment, though by no fault of our own. At this time, we do not consent to the approval of the request as proposed.
show us on the map.
I can.
If I had an address for this one, I don't, you
looked
found
it
the
up
addresses? Perfect, okay.
I believe
The one that. That's that one.
this one.
I'm going to move on to the next one.
Please.
So we are writing in support of Eric and Raymond Risley, Ramonda Risley of the Blooming Orchard Daycare Services. I believe this organization is a great addition to the Abbey Knoll neighborhood and the Lewis Center community. As both neighbors and customers of this daycare center, Mr. and Mrs. Risley have provided the most outstanding care to the children at their business. They work diligently to ensure each child is under the best care within the Ohio government regulations. Mr. and Mrs. Risley have also ensured their business does not interfere with the neighborhood. I have not experienced any abnormal traffic, noise, safety, or other nuisances that is caused by their at-home business. Bus routes and local street traffic remain normal rush hours in the morning and afternoon. Finally, Blooming Orchard Daycare will continue to be an asset to the Abbey Knoll neighborhood and Lewis Center community, as many families are looking for quality and affordable child care service. For these reasons, we strongly support Mr. and Mrs. Risley of Blooming Orchards Daycare to be part of this neighborhood.
And I was going to share the place on the map. I believe it's
2971 Abbey Knoll.
Yep, it's that one there.
Is anyone of the kid is coming from your neighborhood?
That, like that one in particular, that we have provided for. Yes, we have. Mhm. Yes, ma'am.
All right, and we have 2 more. This is a neighbor. I'm not sure if you got Miss Rosemarie McCormick's address, but we'll read her comment. Okay. She says the sounds of happy children have been evident for quite a while. The provision of safe and nurturing child care is a very important issue in our society. So if they are providing a safe and nurturing place for children to spend time, I have no problem with it.
And that is this property.
Okay, and then the final comment, this is Donald Grubbs, 2988 Abbey Knoll Drive. Please Let's see, we firmly object to the request since this business is impacting our quality of lifestyle in our backyard and in our home. This business also impacts the selling value of our property. Our neighbors have also noticed the activity in the backyard, and the perpetual coming and going of cars seems to create traffic hazards. Allowing this conditional use would also open up a can of worms for other businesses to enter the residential areas of Orange Township. They have told us they are moving the business to a different location that allows for childcare for the past several months, knowing the disturbance created. We have additional concerns, but would appreciate the completed, they had a document request. So that was 2988 Abbey Knoll.
And that is
The,
this home here.
correct.
And that's it. Yep, you're welcome.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Ritter specifically?
Yeah, please.
Staff?
I said yes, please.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, public comments? Anybody else have anything else they want to say? Again, if you could please, just as a reminder, that's all it is step up when you name, address, and date that you have been, firm you have been sworn in, please. Save some time.
Good evening. My name is Donald R. Grubbs. I live at 2988 Abbey Knoll Drive.
You have been sworn in, sir?
I'm sorry?
You have been sworn in?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, sir.
All right, I have a statement to read. Is that okay?
It's fine.
Okay. It may take a while, but since we started 5 minutes late, so it's okay.
You said
He's directly to the
The one directly to the west. All right, so good evening, Orange Township zoning board members. I appreciate your time. I go by Rick Grubbs. Legally, it's Donald Grubbs, but I've been called Rick and a few other names. My wife and I have live at 2988 Abbey Knoll Drive, which is directly beside the family home requesting your conditional consideration. We both retired in 2019 and moved to our current home in June of 2020 because of the quality of the home and the peace and quiet of the neighborhood. Single-family home developments in Orange Township are zoned strictly that, single-family homes and not businesses. This maintains the market value of the properties and therefore consistent tax income for Orange Township. There are areas within Orange Township zoned specifically for businesses, but not in the Abbey Knoll development. In December of 2017, there was one other variance case, CU 1713, that was approved by the Board of Zoning in an area zoned that was farm residential. That property is located at 3599 East Powell Road near Interstate 71 and Bale Canyon. The property is on 1.6 acres and had only one single-family home to the east. One side was undeveloped, and two other sides were just simply undeveloped subdivisions at the time. Neighboring homes were not close. Today's property in conditional use case number CU 2327, 3006 Abbey Knoll Drive, is a single-family planned residential district surrounded by homes in all directions. This property is a half-acre size with wooded area towards the south end of the property. We share an 84-foot long fence along our property lines. The property beside us has a business, Blooming Orchids Daycare LLC, established in February of 2022. We were told that the in-home daycare would be temporary, until they found a place to relocate it. We were told they would relocate in the fall of 2023. Then they told us 2 more years out until they would be moving from that residence. And then we were told February of 2024, and that was recently told that it's going to be March of 2024. There are no deadline or consequences for extending the date of relocating this business. As a result, their business continues to grow, as you would hope to have, in number of children, and consequently the loss of our privacy in our home, in our backyard. We have seen 8 vehicles picking up their children in a 30-minute time frame. We've witnessed 8 to 10 kids in the backyard, all prior to dismissal from elementary schools. The school playground yard noise may also impact the selling value of our home. The noise is heard in our kitchen, primary bedroom, living area, We cannot have our windows open in nice weather or sit in the back patio because of the noise and disturbance. The owner suggested us calling them, which I appreciate, calling them when we want to be outside in our backyard. So what that's basically saying is we need to set an appointment so we can go in our backyard. The email from Rosemary McCormick to Eric, how do you pronounce your name? Gatesy, of the zoning board mentions, and I quote, "The sounds of happy children have been evident for quite a while. To us, this indicates that if a resident can hear the sounds from one street over and 3 houses down, there's a problem. We originally did not purchase this home with a daycare center beside the property." The conditional request is approved based on the details embedded within the application and the staff report. Who monitors or enforces these violations, if there are any? For example, item 1 states, "The home occupation shall be carried on solely within the confines of the residential structures." What are the consequences from Orange Township Zoning Board? Here's a recommendation for you. Set a date, limitations, and consequences for approved conditional requests and clarify who on your board will monitor those restrictions. And define what are the consequences if the date limit is exceeded. What's to stop other businesses, like an auto repair, call center, or whatever, from infiltrating our residential areas? And I believe you even approved back some time ago a firearms business in a home. Okay? The Orange Township website, just so you know, in case you want to look at it, click on the About. The first paragraph writes, quote, "An opportunity to enjoy a family-first lifestyle." Where's the lifestyle if we're confined to peace and tranquility inside our home? And it is not fair for daycare children to be restricted inside the home basement either. We appreciate that, but it's not fair to them. Who should take ownership of this problem of allowing businesses in residential development? Frankly, I believe that the onus of this is on the shoulders of the Orange Township Zoning Board and not the families that live in those neighborhoods. You, the board, is the deciding the quality of life for us. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Okay.
Other public comment? Yeah. Council not here tonight. No, we don't always have council here. Okay. Is there any other public comment on this particular case? There was somebody else. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Settles. I live at 6771 Castleberry Mills Court. This gentleman read a statement that my wife had sent in. I have been sworn in this evening. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to speak as well. So I've lived in my home since 2007. I have been there quite a minute. When I purchased my home, his lot was dirt, so the home was not even built yet. So therefore, I would say that I had no reason to expect that in my backyard a daycare would pop up. So I have no problem with the gentleman. Been his neighbor since he moved in 2010. I do have a problem with, in respect to the value of my home and the value of my property that I have invested my livelihood and my hard work into. I don't expect that any one person, when they move into a residence, would value my home the same as, say, a home just around the corner that doesn't abut a daycare and have to see that or be witness to that in the backyard. Not that kids aren't wonderful. I have 2 children. I have a daughter that's a senior at Olentangy, and when she is done with school, we plan to sell our home. And I hope to get the maximum value out of my house. However, like I said, I have no problem with this gentleman. We've always been good neighbors. I think we have the best neighborhood in all of Orange Township. I'd put that against anybody, but I want the maximum value out of my home when I go to sell it. Therefore, I don't consent. I do not consent, if I have a right to say so, to the provision that he is requesting at this time. And that's not a personal attack on this gentleman. It's just on my own hard work that I've put in, my wife and I have put into our home. So that's all I have for the board.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dave Provenzano, 3040 Abbey Knoll. I am 2 houses to the east of the property that's being discussed. I have been sworn in. Couple comments. First of all, there was a comment, and Eric has stated there was not going to be any sign regarding this property. Just to point out, the HOA prohibits signs, period. So that should be a mute question. Just about regarding a comment from, I guess, there's been things said about noise and everything else. I just want to make a note that one of the people that were talking, I'm 2 doors down. We basically live inside of our house with closed windows. I don't particularly hear any of the noise. But one of the complaints about this daycare, I do hear their dog inside my house with my TV on. So fortunately, I do appreciate the fact that dog does not bark that long. So it has not been a nuisance, but just anything. I ask that the board give me some leeway in my questions. I am not questioning the property 3006. I am questioning the property between us, 33024. And I think my questions will come into play as it. That is a rental property. You are currently the landlord?
I can go ahead and address this. Real quick.
Well, I've got
Sure,
some questions.
absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
being next door. You are renting that
Yeah.
property right now, okay, because we've had that discussion.
Please direct any of your questions back and forth to the board only.
All right. Well, my question is this, because that is a rental property being rented by the same person that is owning the daycare. Is that rental property going to be used at all for the daycare? My concern is not so much the daycare, but the precedent set that you have a rental property that you now run a commercial business in.
No.
You're now changing from a I challenge an R1 to a C1. I just want to make sure that that is not going to occur.
Yeah, what I would say to that is that the application in front of us is for that particular address. Okay, that's the only piece that we can speak to tonight is that address, that property, and that request for conditional use.
But if you allow, by granting that request, that to expand, if it's happening, that's my question. All right. Fine, very well.
I make a comment in
Well,
regards
it's
to that?
something we could even discuss because that's not something that's in front of us.
There's, the intent of that is to be remodeled and turned into a rental property or investment property for us. So.
That is my concern, is I just don't want to have an R1 go into a C1.
Understand.
Not the daycare. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, sir.
Good evening, Aaron Meyer. I've been sworn in earlier. Live directly to the north at 3005 Abbey Knoll. I don't quite understand the complaint about the noise. We have loud vehicles constantly going up and down the street, some being by the ones that address concerns of that. So like I said, I have a son that is 10 years old, has approximately 5 friends that run through the neighborhood. I can hear them any given time more than I hear Eric's clients or kids in the business. I don't quite understand. They run a good business. I personally work with the individual that takes their kid there, speaks highly of them. So I'm supportive of the business.
Okay, sir.
And have no concern of it devaluing my house.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Quite the audience.
Sorry, I'm a little late.
Yeah.
I wasn't sworn in, sorry.
I'm gonna take care of that right.
Okay, thank you.
So if you could raise your right hand, please. You solemnly swear the testimony that you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please state I do.
I do.
And if you could state your name, address.
Yeah. My name's Kate Edwards-Liu. I'm in 2971 Abino Drive. I live across this gentleman. I do not, I think, again, I kind of echo what Aaron Meyer's saying, that I do not understand the concern why that this business is a nuisance. It's not a nuisance in the neighborhood. I know the gentleman complained about the amount of traffic that going in front of Eric's house. However, there's cars sit in front of my house half the day, and it's fine. And I don't know why a car coming in and out of a driveway within 30 minutes matter to the neighborhood when someone can just easily park on the street the whole day, entire day. Also, I have a daughter. She's 8 years old. This is one of the reasons why I moved to our Orange Township, because of school, because that's a great neighborhood that's full of family. And I can see why the house value is going up, because people want to be in Olentangy School District. So I don't see why having children in the neighborhood would devalue our home. So that's all I gotta say, and I'm in support of Mr. Wrestler.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sir. Sir, were you here when we?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Anthony Wharton. I'm at 3082 Abbey Knoll Drive, 4 doors down to the west. I'm just here in support of this idea of Eric having the daycare there. I echo the sentiments of the two previous. I don't see a nuisance. I don't see an issue. I'm outside in our backyard quite often with our 3 children. I would say they make just as much noise as any other children in the neighborhood. I've seen and heard the kids in the back at the daycare, and it doesn't stand out any different than any other neighborhood kid playing in their backyard. I don't believe it to be a nuisance. And the street traffic, I don't notice any difference either. I see people come and go. They're gone within a few moments. And I'm not sure about some of the complaints that have been made on that, because it doesn't seem to stand out from any of the other properties, in my opinion. Thank you.
By any chance is your children going to there?
I actually am hoping to have our middle child, who will be entering kindergarten this coming year, to be on the off days when they're in kindergarten, to be going to their daycare. That's another reason we're here in support of that, because our daycare currently does not do the kindergarten grades for those off days. So we're kind of would be at a loss as to what we're going to do, and the fact that they're local, few doors down, and we know them, we trust them, our children play together, and again, their activities as a daycare mesh with the activities of all the children running around the neighborhood. Really is no difference. So thank you.
Any other comments? Sir.
Good evening. My name is Richard Bednarski. I was sworn in, and I live at 6789 at Castleberry Mills Court. My entire backyard essentially borders the property that we're discussing. A couple comments. I'd like to echo the comments of the noise. Certainly there's children in the neighborhood, and they periodically run by and ride their bikes, but this past summer and this fall, the children are outdoors constantly. It's like a playground from 9 to 5, no question about that. I understand the comments by the owner that they won't do that anymore, but that's just taking someone's word, which I'm not sure I can do that based on, the fact that, there was no communication to the neighbors prior to starting this venture that would have perhaps helped us understand and know the plans for the future, that we're going to move this into a commercial operation at some point. So I have a little trust issue there, just by somebody saying, well, we're going to only let 2 children out at a time. Another concern I have is the property. Although it's not clear from the overhead diagram, that's a heavily wooded lot. About half of that lot is heavily wooded. And as a licensed healthcare professional myself, I am a little concerned about the exposure of the children. They go back in those woods, and the tick exposure, yellow ground nests in the ground. I think it's not a appropriate setting for an outdoor setting for children in a daycare. It is heavily wooded. There's dead trees back there. There's limbs that fall. It's I think an issue that you seriously need to consider. I'm also concerned about the property values. As Mr. Settle said, Mr. Grubbs, when your property abuts the area, I think you legitimately have concerns about the value of your property compared to a comparable property that's not abutting a commercial operation. And I think that's a very real concern. I understand the individuals who have a vested interest, their children are going to attend the daycare, so they're going to speak up and support it. Perhaps I would as well, if that were the case and I didn't live immediately adjacent to the property. So anyway, that's all I have prepared to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sir?
Sorry. The wood that past the property line?
No.
Can I address that? I can address that, ma'am.
I was going to speak briefly that is about half wooded parcel, maybe about the back 1/3 of the parcel is going to be that wooded area. So it's on the parcel, correct?
It is on the property and it's also fenced.
Okay. Sir?
I've been up here, I've introduced myself before, to about a few of the comments that were made. If you want to highlight my property, it's 3040 Abbey Knoll. I'm 2 houses to the west. My name is Dave Provenzano. Dave Provenzano. My wife and I are retired. By the nature of the property, I can't step in my backyard without having a full view of 3006 backyard. To the content, how many of the kids are outside, day, night, I probably don't even see you in your yard or anybody in the yard more than 20% of the time that I'm in my yard. Regarding the wooded area, yeah, we should lock our kids up for all safety, but frankly, I wish my back of my area was cleaned up, as clean as he's cleaned up his yard with dead brush and everything else. I've done it. My yard is rather extensively cleared. His is much better. And to the extent that the fenced in, the area is accessible to the kids, there is a fence protruding back there. So it is not completely open. They can't go all the way back. They can't go to the drive ravine, is my observation on that. So just to clarify, thank you very much.
All right, any last comments? Go ahead. Anybody like to make a motion?
Make a motion.
You will make a motion?
I move to deny case number CU 2327 for the property located at 3006 Abbey Knoll Drive, Lewis Center, Ohio 43035, seeking a conditional use from the Orange Township zoning resolution section 10.04A to allow the operation of a home occupation and in-home daycare as outlined in the request above in an area zone single-family land residence district, SFPRD. I'd like to go a little further. because according to one of our criteria, it would be disturbing to existing or future neighboring uses. And it is of such nature and operated and maintained in such manner to be non-harmonious and inappropriate with the existing or intended character of the general vicinity.
I'll second that.
Motion made to deny by Ms. Ross, seconded by Ms. Neff. Those voting, Mr. Shipley?
Just to clarify what a yes vote means, what a no vote means.
So a yes would be a motion to deny, and a no would be no, not to deny. So, Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mr. Treves?
Yes.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Neff?
Yes.
Ms. Shundar?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, folks.
Folks, if you want to leave, feel free. You don't have to stay for the rest of this. Yeah.
All right, so our next application is VA 2329. Yes, you want to go through that?
So our last application of the evening, VA 2329. The applicant Jeffrey Beck, Sign Dynamics, the owner Wesley Orange Point LLC. The site is located at 95 Orange Point Drive in Lewis Center, and the zoning district is Planned Commercial and Office District. So for the description, the subject property is located on the northeast corner of US 23 and Orange Point Drive. The property is a new development currently under construction, and it will be a Grismer tire. The site is currently zoned Planned Commercial Office District PC under rezoning case 2642. The applicant is requesting 2 area variances from section 22.03C1 of the Orange Township zoning resolution to allow for 2 wall signs to be installed above the permitted 15 feet in height. Signs are identical and are proposed to be no more than 21 feet, 0 inches from grade to the top of the sign. For the surrounding area, on the north side, the zoning is Planned Commercial Office District, the land use commercial uses. The south side is Planned Commercial Office District, and the land use is Orange Point Drive, as well as commercial uses. On the east side is Planned Commercial and Office, and land use commercial uses. And on the west side is Planned Commercial and Office District, and land use US 23 in commercial uses. Moving on to the aerial photos. You can see the general vicinity from the zoomed out view and a little bit closer in, zoomed in. There is a feature of an existing monument sign on the southwest corner of the site. So for the staff review, this is for signs number 1 and number 2, just 2 signs associated with this request. So that requirement comes from section 22.03C1, which is the maximum sign height of 15 feet. I'll read that. All display signs shall be mounted on the building which houses the business establishment advertised by such signs, except as otherwise specifically authorized by this resolution. Such signs shall be located on or along a wall of such building which faces a street, parking lot, or service drive, and shall be located no more than 15 feet above finished grade or the height of the ceiling of the first floor of the building, whichever is less. So the proposed signs would encroach 6 feet into that required 15-foot height requirement, and this is a 40% variance request. Exhibit 1 and then Exhibit 2 both give you an idea of what the sign will look like and where it is located, going to be located on the building. There's the 15-foot height requirement, and then along that is the 21-foot that they are proposing. There's the dimensions, 4 foot by 11 feet. So the total area of the sign would be 44 square feet. Each sign would be 44 square feet. And that is the staff report. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
And the only request here is for the height.
Correct. For both signs are proposed at the same height of 21 feet.
Correct. Is it Mr. Beck? Sir, is that how you say your last name?
What?
How do you say your last name?
Beck. It's not Jeff Beck. I don't play guitar. I didn't play any instruments, okay?
I want to make sure I got it right. So, Beck.
Okay, yeah, my name is Jeffrey Beck, and I have been sworn in.
Did I get your address?
Jeffrey, not Jeffrey, it's Jeffrey.
Gotcha.
Somebody did. Anyway.
Your address also, sir.
Oh, my address at work is 2781 Thunderhawk Court, Dayton, Ohio, 45414.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Okay, I'm the owner and president of Sign Dynamics, been there since I started. I used to be the VPGM for Lamar Billboard Company before that, for Dayton, Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky. But anyway, I've been involved in permits. I have a permit specialist that does that. And I've taught him, and I said, let's go by the rules as much as possible. If we have to go to a variance because there's a weird situation. We're asking for a 6-foot increase in height. It's not something like, hey, we just want it bigger and better. It's not it. We do all the Grismer stores in Dayton and south of Dayton and in Columbus. And what they've got is they've got their logo high enough. Now, just to understand this, is if this was a shopping center where you had 10, 15, 20 stores, hair salon, party cards, a donut shop, yes, all of them are going to be the same. You can't have one of them go up higher than the others. But this is an individual building that's on a street that's not I-70, I understand that, but it's still pretty busy. And you want to get people so they're not going by like, oh, there it is. I just turned, we wanted to make sure they see it in advance. It's very important for that. It doesn't cause any accidents. And it would look good that way. They already bought awnings for the lower part where you've got the 15 feet, so they've got awnings in there, and they just want to put the 2 signs on the sign like we've got them everywhere else. And it's pretty common, down to earth, and that's why I said we don't go to a lot of variances, but when there's some situation, and by the way, when I was coming down, when is that, 23 North? I think it was about 5 or 6 buildings that coming off of 270, whatever, that were individual buildings, just like this one, older or whatever, different buildings. I didn't get the names of them, but they had signs up there higher than this. Okay, so it's an individual building, not in a shopping center. And even the shopping center has a multi-tenant sign that's tall with a pole, right? You've seen those. But this one, we're not asking for to break the rules as far as, without reason. Let's want ours bigger because we're a bigger company. We're not saying that. We just want it because that's the way it should be for an individual building. We do this we do stuff all over the country, Atlanta, all over. And they understand it. And I hope you guys do too. Any questions, let me know.
Me? Yeah. That's a huge variance on our
6 feet?
6 feet, 40%.
It's a percent.
Well, they already got the sign art made up for the wider base on there, and it's a different finish. It's going to harder to drill into that concrete than the other one. But I just thought it looks better, it's cleaner, you see it, and.
Well, you're talking about that design.
Well, I don't know about that.
It works in Dublin, it works in Cincinnati. That's fine, but our code is different here.
I understand that. I was just saying is I think if someone was making the code over again, they would make exceptions for a situation like this. I'm saying, not trying to be smart about it. I'm just trying to say is that if you were an individual building, not a shopping center, a bunch of stores,
plot plans, make special conditions. We are only concerned with those that are not in a grouped area individuals or, shopping center, I don't care. They weren't part of the original plan, and they didn't have pre-existing conditions different from what our code is. So,
All I know is when they designed it, they anticipated this won't be a problem. Why would this be a problem? That's what they're saying. That's why they designed it that way.
businesses come in and say, well, it won't be a problem. Well, it is.
There's other businesses in town, in your township, okay, that have that signs like that. And okay, I know, but I'm from Dayton.
Yeah.
But I was just trying to be, I said, I go to variances and I try to make it the least thing possible. We go by the rules and we understand that, hey, you can't do something that's crazy, because then everybody can say, hey, we want it too. Then everybody doing it, but not everybody is an independent building like this. This is a huge building, has 5 garages, okay, by itself, and it's on a corner, and they want them both so people can see it coming, so they know where it is and they don't pass it up. And I think it matches their business. I know you're saying Cincinnati or Dayton or whatever, but I'm saying it matches their business look, so everybody knows it's the same. And I'm saying 6 feet, it's not 60 feet. We're just talking 6 feet. So, that's it. There's a gentleman wants to speak. Say something. Okay, sir.
How you doing? My name's Bob Kemper. I'm with Grismer Tire Operations Manager. Not a sign company, not an engineer, not an architect.
Your home address.
I'm sorry?
Address.
3500 Governor's Place, Kettering, Ohio. I guess I had been sworn in. We go to great lengths to design an aesthetically pleasing building. Our latest one up here is in Powell, Sawmill Parkway and Powell Road. Same design, what we call the tower, the center of the building. Go to great lengths. From my understanding, the size of the sign has been approved. I was working with a gentleman who's no longer with their company. I don't know enough questions to ask. And as far as signs approved, and he said, yeah, signs approved. Okay. The gentleman at the time who's no longer with him didn't look at the height or look at the variations. So we went ahead, we designed the building. We've got kind of what we call we got the brick that's almost like a stripe if you see by some other photos. To lower that down on top of the awning, it would look I think it would look horrendous. It's a very beautiful, clean property. We, invest a bunch of money in it. We invest a bunch of money into the communities. It's not a mom and pop garage or anything like that. We're just asking for 6 feet above on the 2 signs to place them in the center, just for appearance. I'm here to ask forgiveness. I'm not an architect. I didn't check into all the rules and regulations. The gentleman that was working on it's not with the company. I only found out about this about 45 days ago, about a height issue. And it's not your fault, but that's why I'm here begging for a variance to make it look aesthetically pleasing, like our other locations.
I don't disagree and I assume that's exactly what's happening there with that sign in the center of that rectangular area there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree at all. If you move that down, everything looks off.
Well, we're going to have a red awning underneath it, so it would sit on top of that awning, and it would, I think more people would drive by, it probably gain more attention, but more people would go, who did that? So
the issue is, though, as so adequately explained there, 40% is a substantial variance to an existing township regulation. So,
and the way that reads, it's the least of 15 feet or the top of the first floor. By my eyesight, the red stripe, or the stripe going horizontal under the sign, is technically the top of your first floor. So the sign would have to be in the stripe below that.
Which there's a red awning. I understand.
I'm trying to explain that.
Right.
And just to clarify on that point, yes, the code states that from the height of the finished first floor or 15 feet. Well, it happens that based on our measurement, it is right at the same. It is one and the same for this particular building, 15 feet. Correct.
I'm just drawing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had an architect design it, and we haven't done anything for a while through COVID, and I had an architect design it. I rely on those folks to check things out. I don't know enough, and that's why beautiful drive up here tonight and see you folks. So it's, I'm not an architect, not an engineer. I mean, just operations. And 60 days ago, I got a phone call, and they're like, "Guess what?" I'm like, "What?" Can't work with, sign won't work. I said, I thought the signs were approved. Well, the size is, but then I was unaware of the height variance. So we did not intentionally design something to go against code or anything like that. It's
everywhere else. I know everybody's different.
Well, I can tell you within the Columbus area, there are 3 towns or ordinances that would not allow that.
And you don't think they'd allow it if we went to a variance meeting on that either?
I'm pretty sure, because national organizations have been forced to change their building design in order to comply.
Well,
we're
just asking for a variance. I mean, we're a 90-year-old company. We're still family owned. We're small growth. Last one's been in Powell. Like I say, it's a beautiful facility.
They're nitpicky. They want it perfect.
And I know. I used to sit on the Powell board.
Any other questions about the actions? Is there any public comment with regard to the sign? Anybody else speak? I'm going to make a motion with regard to this, based upon your design there, and I'll make a motion to approve based on these factors, case number VA 2329 for property located at 95 Orange Park Drive, Lewis Center, Ohio, seeking 2 area variances from the Orange Township zoning resolution for 2 proposed wall signs to be installed at a height of 21 feet from grade to the top of the sign in area zone planned commercial and office district.
Second.
Motion to approve made by Mr. Shipley, seconded by Ms. Ross. Those voting? Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mr. Krebs?
No.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Neff?
Yes.
Ms. Shindar?
Yes.
Motion carries. Variance is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Enjoy.
They'll give you a discount on tire for that.
Cannot do.
That's right. All right, and I think the last order of business, although I lost my exactly right there you go. Thank you. That's great. Made a mess over here.
So the next item, just want to be clear about this. We sent out a revised agenda because initially the agenda did not include the 2024 BZA meeting schedule. Was hoping you all had a chance to take a look at that, and then we would move for approval of that tonight, pending no questions or comments.
The 2024 Orange Township Board of Zoning Appeals schedule as submitted.
Second.
Motion to approve made by Ms. Ross, seconded by Mr. Trevs. Those voting? Mr. Shipley?
Yes.
Mr. Trevs?
Yes.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Neff?
Yes.
Ms. Shindar?
Yes.
Motion carries. And I know it is listed as the next item, but we actually do not have the minutes ready for November, so those will likely come before you come our January New Year meeting. I don't have anything else. If anybody else has anything?
Like in this situation, they put a final, like 8 at that, and we're final on the block. What they do is they de-shrink it to the blocks. Right. It's literally a block Yeah, I think.
I can't recall. I want to say that signs painted on walls are prohibited, and then also like vinyl banners are prohibited. So I think that might not be allowed, but I'd have to look at the details.
What would be the difference between block and I forget that one we figured out. But yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's about the same thing. All right. Thank you.
Anything else?
Yes. I would like to thank Mr. Shipley for his leadership and for his time on the Board of Appeals. I know you've been here a lot longer than I have. And just for the short time that I've been here, I really appreciated your leadership and friendship.
Okay.
I told Eric earlier, this is it's a different board than it was, 6, 7 years ago. And not, it just is. People that are in the township's grown and there's a lot going on. So it's really been a pleasure to sit up here. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
All right.
All right.